This is the very first luncheon meeting under the presidency of our dear President Bing Matoto. Let's give him a round of applause. So to officially start the meeting, may I call on our dear President Bing to call the meeting to order for the very first time.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call my very first meeting of our new Rotary Year to order.
Must feel so good ringing that for the first time, huh? Okay, thank you, President Bing. May we now call on Director Brian Liu to deliver our invocation.
All right, let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. In this moment, as the calendar turns, with hope in our hearts, a new Rotary year emerges. We gather as one, grateful for Rotary friends and the transformations our service urges. With every challenge that comes our way, we rise united, with determination held high. With unwavering commitment, we strive to give in service to others. With purpose, we apply. For we are the agents of change and progress, a gift to the world. Our mission remains, not seeking applause, but making a difference. In every act of service, our purpose sustains. Let this new Rotary year be filled with compassion. May our projects and initiatives flourish and grow as we extend our hands to those in need. Together as Rotarians, we create hope in the world. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
Thank you so much, Director Brian. Now may we request everybody to put their right hand on their chests for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, to be followed by the RCM Makati hymn.
Witness a history in our lifetime as we bring back to life what a true Rotarian should be. Service above self, unity in diversity, and inclusivity, all for one and one for all. This is our chance. This is our time to rise up and be the example of what humanity can achieve. Together, let's create hope in the world. So let us sing with one voice the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, temas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong bangaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga aking, stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, prepared to aid our fellow men, as true Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in service above self, and this is why we succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
And so, may we commit the four-way test to mind and heart. May I request everyone to repeat after me? Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you very much. We would like to acknowledge the dignitaries for today, our dear PDG Tony Kila, PDG Peps Bengzon, DGN Reggie Nolido. The aunts who are here, Nelly Bengzon. She's online. She's online. Yes. We'd also like to acknowledge our guests present today. Ms. Lourdes Garcia, Rocio Garcia. Please no. Rosario Garcia, the mother of our speaker today. Miss Penny Esporma. There you go. Mike Dumagas of AAP. Madam Jean Goldburn. Francis Lim. Rene Arambulo. All right. Mr. Teddy Monteliban of the Daily Tribune. Chito Lozada, also of the Daily Tribune. Maria Romero, also of the Daily Tribune. Past District Secretary Doris Ensomo. Is she here? Oh, okay. Online, sorry. Cyrus Montesa of DFNM. PP Peaches Reyes and RC Makati San Antonio. She's online. Abigail Garcia and Tina De Rocio, both online. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you. As we embark on this new Rotary year, we're excited to revive one of our meeting traditions. Today, we invite all RC Makati Rotarians to please stand as we greet our distinguished guests with our beloved welcome song.
Friends of Rotary, Regards from all the fellows here, and when once more you are here, our Lord, come again, our friends, come again.
Welcome, welcome, everybody. Now let's take the time to recognize birthday celebrators and wedding anniversary celebrators. Rotarian Mon Diokno is celebrating his birthday on the 20th of July. PE Keith Harrison also celebrating his birthday on the 20th of July. Happy birthday, Keith. PDG Peps Bengzon is also celebrating his birthday on the 21st. Happy birthday, sir. Rotary Ann's Jeline Arteche is celebrating on the 20th. Woohoo! Baby Cruz also on the 20th. Mimi Alverio celebrating birthday on the 22nd, and Say Ponferrada on the 23rd. Okay. Happy birthday, everybody. Wedding anniversaries. Today, Leo and Luli de Leon are celebrating their anniversary. Happy anniversary. Our dear VP and Director Howie and Marla Calleja is also celebrating their wedding anniversary today. James and Jenny Bosch on the 22nd, and Henry and Marga Akende on the 23rd. Happy anniversary, everybody. Another tradition.
It is your birthday. Let's celebrate this important day. We greet you deeply in our hearts, dear. A happy birthday. A happy birthday.
Galing. Now, I would like to call on PDG Tony Kila to recognize the Paul Harris Fellows.
Thank you, Ronnie. So let me call first on Eddie Up, Eddie Up, Eddie Up for one ruby. Can I ask President Bim Matoto to pin the pin on Eddie Up? Then can I ask Conrad Marty to come over for his 5 sapphire? Eddie, can you stay? Eddie, can you stay so that we'll have a group picture? And then our moderator, Ronnie Siachoko, for his 2 sapphire.
Thank you very much. Now at this stage of the program, let's hear from our dear President Bing for his President's report.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. I actually commented to Ronnie that it's nice to see him here and to acknowledge that he is, he just donated and became another fellow. And I told him every time he's absent, he committed that he'll always be donating. So because of that, he'll be attending always. Maybe that's a new rule we should apply. Huh? Okay, anyway. Welcome to all of you, and I see some new faces here. And of course, our guests, our distinguished guests, and some faces of some members who have not been around for a long time. Peter Cuyuto, welcome. Thank you, sir, for being here. And of course, Leo De Leon. Thank you, Leo, for coming. Last time I saw you was at the golf course. No, I saw you after that. Thank you. And of course, Harley. Thank you, Harley, for coming, and congratulations on your Indonesian project. So because of that, we will expect more donations from you, right? Hey. Anyway, welcome to all of you to this very first luncheon meeting of RC Makati for the Rotary year 2023-24. And I extend a special thank you to our member, Ramon Garcia, for graciously stepping in as our guest speaker to enlighten us about Starlink and the latest technologies that will shape our digital future. Actually, today, we'd actually planned to present our plans, objectives, and budgets. However, we have deemed it best to have the budget that has actually been approved by the club's board undergo a review and evaluation process by the foundation. Rest assured, we will inform you of the new date for the BOP presentation, and we hope you can join us for this essential meeting. Just a quick comment about our plans for this year. Actually, we've come up with a very aggressive plan for this year, and hopefully that will allow us to have greater participation from our members whom we have not been seeing for a long time. So when we do finally get an approval from the foundation regarding the kind of budget that we're asking for, I really hope that our members will be able to follow through and execute the plans that we had planned out together with your directors, elected directors, and committee chairs. No? As part of the desire to encourage participation in our meetings, we are reviving the cluster scheme that was designed and put in place by no less past President Eddie Yap during his term. Our membership actually will be divided into 5 clusters, each led by 2 directors. And we have them on the screen to give you an idea. I mean, the whole idea here is to have each member be part of a cluster, and each cluster will be encouraged really to come up with their own ideas, how to make our meetings more lively. And we intend to incentivize the clusters, and we have to, maybe it's a way for us to be able to enhance our fellowship, no? As you can see there, those clusters are there, and they're headed by different directors. The first cluster is head is Johnny Ang, who isn't here today. But then you have the members under that. And Louis, of course, is there as part of his cluster. And I'm sure with the guidance of Louis, we'll be able to get that cluster active. And who else do we have here who's here? Well, Peter Cuyuto is here. That's why, Peter, I don't know if you realize that you're part of the cluster under Johnny Yang and Louis, no? Then we have other members who are here now. Well, of course, Ronnie is here. Okay. And then the second cluster head is, can go back, Julian Lim is also not here, unfortunately. Of course, we have there to provide guidance for Julian, past President Cesar Campos. Cesar, I'm sure with your energy, you'll be able to infuse the same kind of energy to your cluster members. Huh? Fred Parunga, of course, is here. Who else is here? Okay, that's it. Can we move to the next cluster? We have then Brian Liu, who just got married a few months ago, and that's his excuse. He's been on a honeymoon, extended honeymoon abroad. And welcome back, Brian. Brian is supported by no less than past President Conrad Marty. Conrad Marty, we are requesting your, you are part of the cluster, Conrad. You're part of the cluster under Brian Liu. And so under your guidance, he will be able to encourage you, together with the other members of the cluster, to have greater attendance, whether here or in Manila Pen or any other venue that we'll be able to move to. Manila Peninsula. We'll work it out. Under Brian, who else? Tony Lopez is here, of course. We have, I guess that's it. The next cluster head is Keith, whose birthday falls this month. So we're looking forward to your treat, Keith. And under Keith, we have, of course, the guidance of past President Roland Young. Roland, hi. So you'll be here to guide Keith to be able to encourage your cluster members to have greater attendance in our meetings. Also part of this cluster who are here today, of course, our guest speaker, Ramon Garcia and Leo De Leon. All right. The next cluster is Howie, who's actually the membership committee chair, who's supposed to be presiding over this whole cluster idea. It was his idea. But let's give him an excuse because after all, it's celebrating his anniversary today. And so I guess that's why Howie is not here. And of course, under the guidance of past District Governor Tony Kila, we're sure that the cluster under Howie, Tony, Gov Tony, that in fact will have a lot of participation from the cluster under Howie, which is under your guidance. And then others who are here this afternoon, we have Paulo Turno. Paulo, a young member, new member, is really setting the example for the older members. Paulo's been involved not only in just attending, but involved in projects already. Huh? So thank you very much, Paulo, for that one. Who else do we have here? I guess that's it, no? The next director is Porsche Peña, who's also not here, but I think he's probably out of town, I gather. And Michael is on extended vacation after a year of doing Rotary work. Boy Artecho, of course, as always, who will be providing the spirit and the energy to make sure his cluster will be always attending our meetings. All right, Boy? Okay, great. And Boy promises that we'll have a next meeting somewhere in, is it Tacloban? Okay. Okay, who else do we have here? That's about it. No, next we have Rodrigo Segura, Senor Rodrigo Segura. And of course, providing support for Rodrigo is past District Governor Sid Garcia. And then here this afternoon, we have Nico Dairit is here, right? Is he? He's not. Oh, I'm looking at this one. Is Nico here? Okay. All right. And then who else do we have here? We have Inigo, of course. Inigo, thank you again for that welcome dinner that you and your dad hosted. That was great. Who else do we have here? That's it. And then Neil, of course, the next director, who again is a young blood like Paulo, who's going to show us the way, the oldest, how to be a Rotarian, right, Neil? Okay. Okay, we've got all this bunch of young bloods who will be future presidents. Under Neil, who will be providing guidance, hopefully the right kind of guidance from past District Governor Pepito Pengson. Hey. Huh? All right. Under that, we have, who's here? Oh, goodness, we only have Neil, and that's it. Is Chito part of that? No, it's not. It's not in that cluster. Next one, please. Then we have Winston Uy, who's still out of the country. And of course, we've got incoming District Governor Reggie Nolido to provide him the kind of support, and of course, past President Eddie Yap. And then who else do we have here under that particular group? Wala na, that's it. Next is of course Bom, another future president. Bom Villatuya. Hey, we don't have Junjun here. Who else do we have here under Bom? Okay, a lot of catching up, Bom. You're the only one here. Okay, next. That's it? Is that it? All right. So anyway, those are the clusters, and that's how we intend to try to revive greater interest in our attendance. No. All right. Now, we'd like to share with you an AVP of an activity we had during Children's Day at the Rotary Homes of Parañaque. Ron?
Rotary Club of Makati conducted the Rotary Children's Day at Rotary Homes Parañaque on July 1, a remarkable event that kick-started our new Rotary year with a day filled with joy, learning, and essential services for our community. The day began with an incredible parade where several kids and volunteers marched together, spreading happiness and excitement throughout the neighborhood. At the children's party, the club provided over 180 kids with delightful food packs and loot bags to take home, bringing smiles to their faces and creating memories that will last a lifetime. The Rotaractors nurtured the love of reading in the hearts of these young ones through an enchanting storytelling activity and through their Kaching Kaching program. They made financial education fun and interactive, equipping these young minds with the knowledge to make informed financial decisions. 30 enthusiastic youth joined us for a disaster preparedness seminar conducted by Assist. Through the engaging master of disaster games, they learned essential skills and knowledge to confidently react during emergencies, ensuring their safety and the well-being of their loved ones. We are proud to have made a difference in the lives of 30 women who received breast and cervical cancer screenings through the Global Grant-funded mobile bus, which was co-funded by the club in partnership with the Philippine Cancer Society and RCM Premier District. This vital service promotes early detection and provides them with a safer and healthier future. In partnership with RC Parañaque St. Andrew, we provided dental care to 30 individuals, ensuring their oral health and well-being. Approximately 100 children received medical checkups by dedicated volunteer doctors from Zeta Beta Mu fraternity. Early detection of health issues enables prompt treatment, ensuring their well-being. Medicines and vitamins courtesy of Unilab Philippines were also provided to support their health. RC Makati believes in empowering our community. At least 45 participants discovered the advantages of digital banking by Tonic Bank, opening doors to financial inclusion. Additionally, we introduced livelihood opportunities conducted by personal collection, fostering economic stability and growth. Together with the support of RC Parañaque St. Andrews, Rotary Club of Makati, Rotary Club of Parañaque St. Andrew, Assist, Zeta Beta Mu Fraternity, Unilab Philippines, Tonic Bank, Personal Collection, and the Philippine Cancer Society, we have touched the lives of at least 370 individuals from over 180 families in the adopted communities we serve. Thank you to all the volunteers, sponsors, and partners who made this event possible. Your dedication and support have truly made a difference in the lives of so many.
Okay, thank you very much. As you saw from the video, there were quite a few of our members who attended the Children's Day, and encourage our members to continue to expand our attendance in our projects, especially those that are located within NCR. We have a lot of that. And for our friends from the Daily Tribune, you were asking about some coverage, some topics to talk about, Mr. Lozada. I hope you were able to view the AVP. To give you an idea, a clear idea of what we do. Okay, and we invite you actually to join us in some projects, so you'll know exactly what we do. All right, we're trying to work out actually a media partnership with Daily Tribune who could provide greater coverage for our activities. No? During this particular event, we actually touched the lives of at least 370 individuals representing over 200 families. Apart from our project at Rotary Homes, our club also supported Children's Day celebrations in Pasay and Manila's South Cemetery by donating books. In this regard, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the retirees and aunts who joined me in celebrating the beginning of the new Rotary year. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you who contributed to the resounding success of our 58th induction ball held last July 7th. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude to P.E. Keith and Rachel Harrison. Can we give Keith a big hand, you know, for a yeoman's job in organizing that induction, for their outstanding leadership and tireless efforts in overseeing the organization and production of the induction ball. And of course, I would also like to extend my gratitude to P.P. Louie and Tess Aseoche for their invaluable support and guidance through the entire process. Thank you very much, P.P. Louie. A special mention goes out to the dancers who poured their time and effort into countless rehearsals to put on an unforgettable performance for us all. And of course, we should thank and acknowledge our singers, Chito Cantada and Andy Manyala, who belted out great songs during that induction. Okay, once again, thank you. Thank you very much. Now for our upcoming activities. Next Tuesday, July 25th, we will have Stephanie C. speak on artificial intelligence. Again, this I think would be an interesting topic that can transform industries through data-driven decisions, solve high-impact problems. This will be a joint meeting with RC Makati Premier District. And on July 30 to August 2, we will be traveling to Siargao with District Governor nominee Reggie Nolido for the MOA signing with the LGU for the Rotary Homes project. And lastly, please join the delegation visiting Kuala Lumpur on August 11 to 12 for the anniversary installation of RCKL Diraja, our sister club. Director Johnny Ang and Ann Catrofino have already confirmed. We hope we can send large contingent to show our support to our sister club. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President Bing. That was a good thing, a very good first report. Okay. You know, a few days ago, after I confirmed my attendance to today's meeting, Ria called me and asked me to be today's moderator. Probably as penance to the fact that I was not able to attend the induction ball. But after a few minutes, she called me and asked me to be, I was actually thinking rather that I'd have the chance, the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker. But in their good wisdom, they decided that PDG Peps Bengzon be the one to introduce him. Why? Because I've known our guest speaker for more than 30 years. Was with him in LaSalle during college. So if I had to introduce him, I would be talking about all of his great achievements, great and crazy achievements in college. But since now Peps Bengzon is the one who's going to introduce him, he will talk about a little about his great achievements after college. Here to introduce our guest speaker, PDG Peps.
Thank you, Ronnie. Okay, friends, Rotarians, guests, listen to the introduction of our guest speaker today. Well, you can read it in the kaunlaran, right? But what's not there is educational background. So in short, he graduated from the other school, along Taft, you know, with a degree of industrial engineering, right? But then he was redeemed. He redeemed himself by graduating from the executive program of Stanford University last year. Well, I've known Ramon in three areas, three facets. One, as a Rotarian, almost, I think about 25 years ago. 2, as a golfer. And 3, as a business person. So let me just introduce you to him as a golfer from the perspective of a golfer. Yeah, a lot of people are laughing because they know his golf game, right? So if he slices, and that's to the right, that's his business acumen. That's DFNN group of companies. He's into Starlink, IT, fintech, everything about business. Now, if he hooks, and that's usually to the left, that's his Rotary life, his personal life, his shooting life, right? And his honorary consul life, and all the other things that are not business. If it goes straight, that's a miracle. So there's nothing there. So one of the tournaments in the Philippine Stock Exchange, I recall, Ramon and as his mother, Tita Jeannie, and his 2 lovely daughters, Ludi and Nina, would know, he's all over the place, right? So he comes, Tagaytay Highlands, he greets left, he greets life. How are you, pare? How are you, mare? Every day, Ramon, it's our tea time, right? We're in number 10, Highlands. So he rushes there. He goes, where's my clubs? He says, my clubs. Okay, gets his clubs. And as he's there on the tee, he looks down and he notices he doesn't have golf shoes. So we're delayed another few minutes, right? But that's Raymond. He goes left, he goes right. What's good about him is his putting, which reflects his lifestyle, right? If Raymond and I, a great partnership when it comes to scramble, right? He goes, pare, I'll meet you in the green. Because he's a great putter. And that's what his life's all about, right? He putts straight to the hole, and that's his business acumen, and that's how his life is. It may go this, it may go that, but his focus and he's fixated on his goal, and there's no such thing that it can't be done. One time I go into his office and say, Ramon, so how was your day? And I say, well, I only made 10,000. Well, that's 10,000 more than yesterday. So that's his idea is, you make 1,000 pesos, that's 1,000 more today than yesterday. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, our member from the Rotary Club of Makati, Ramon Garcia.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Pepito. He's one of the few guys who gets me to do Rotary things, The only time I ever joined the board is when he was president. So even this talk, when Pepito asks, I can't say no, because he took me from second to last in the Bill Shaw tournament to the top 5. So pwede na. It's my payment to him. With that being said, I'd like to first start off and let's congratulate this Rotary Club, which is, as you know, very prestigious. Although I have a lot of friends in Makati West and so forth and all of that. But, you have Fred Pascual from here, Jun Lumagi. But now I'd like to also congratulate, give him a round of applause, the new director of the Freeport Area of Bataan, Conrad Marty. So he's been appointed by the president. So, this is a club that the administration, I'm proud of, is recognizing. To you shooters in RCMAC, I have just been told that we will be putting a fantastic, great shooting range in the Freeport area of Bataan. I hope that Conrad will support it on the board level. The other people here that, believe it or not, that come from this Rotary and that Starlink and the future technologies within low Earth geostationary satellite would not have happened without the help of are people like Eddie Yap, the quiet guy there, under the FEF Foundation. And the other one was George Barcelon of PCCI. They were my secret weapons when I was trying to convince both houses of Congress on the Public Services Act. So maraming salamat mga kuyang mentor, Ahya, and probably the best meals in town in Forbes Park. So thank you, Boss Eddie. Now, I was very proud because, as you know, I'm in the IT business. And my daughters who are here, Lourdes and Rocio, they just came back from Madrid to watch me. And their comment was, Papa, I can imagine you in high school. You are probably a nerd. And I said, yeah, you're right. So my mother, who's also the president of Zonta, the comment here at the table from Bing, Ronnie, Pepito, and Brian was that they're happy that my mother supports me. My mother supported me since I was young. It's almost like single-handedly when she worked in the United Nations in New York. So my background really is I am a nerd. I think my mother was very upset with me during the days of Star Wars. I used to disassemble my train stations, my radios, if you remember what an FM radio is before Spotify and all of that. But she'd hate it when she wants to watch Betamax and I had disassembled her Betamax machine. And it took me 2 days to put it back together. So thank you, Mom, for supporting me, even if you had a nerd as a son. And she dragged along 2 friends, Jeannie Goldberg, who is a extraordinaire custom clothing because she has produced every single barong I have been using, whether it's a dinner in Malacanang, the Asia Pacific, APEC meetings of President Ramos, and the state visits where I need to wear a barong. So thank you, Jeannie. And they also dragged their beautiful friend, Francis Lim, who is, when you talk about love stories in Portugal, that's going to be her. Okay. So with that, the topic that I'm discussing really wasn't solely about Starlink. It's really about the emerging technologies, which I guarantee you will affect our life, and 30 billion reasons for the Philippines. And I'll explain that later. But since it's over already and Starlink has launched, right now, ordering direct, they're doing about 600 kits a day. They have appointed a number of resellers. Yes, Big Boy is one of them. But I wish to note that as I support Tony Almeida, who sits on my board, Starlink has not appointed an exclusive reseller. They continue to look for resellers in the Philippines. I just want to remind you that while Elon Musk is a billionaire, I have always been told by SpaceX that Starlink is still a startup. So you're seeing the prices go from 29,000 down to 19,000. And again, to show you it's not exclusive, you can order direct. Ourselves, we've helped set up over 200 Starlink deployments. So the equipment comes into my office, out the next day. And what we do is we overlayer it with IT. So that's how it started, right? As a publicly listed IT company called DFNN, how do you grow your business if you have no connectivity? But all our software, whether we use it in banks, online stock trading, PAGCOR, and other government agencies, presumes connectivity. Now, that may be a business case that you need to solve, but it is an infrastructure issue that actually the government and the people of the Philippines must have a resolution to solve. Then came the dreaded COVID disease when we were all locked in our house. And I had actually approached Senator Coco Pimentel, and I said, sir, I know that you are listened to in the Duterte administration, and I know that a relative of ours, Secretary Jacinto, was in IT. And I had approached both of them and said, we really need pervasive and ubiquitous internet. And they said, Ramon, what do you propose? I said, Starlink has just launched. They have not done anything in Asia. And yet we are the best use case for Starlink ever. And what do you call this? I said, we have 7,000, almost 8,000 islands. Our children are suffering because they cannot do e-learning. Our e-government services could not be done. And if there's one thing the Duterte administration can do is give the gift of ubiquitous connectivity. And that being said, it was completed and supported during the time of President Marcos. And I must cite the roles of Sec Ivan Uy, President Marcos himself, who had made 70% of his first State of the Nation address about e-government and e-services, and the support of Speaker Martin Romualdez, as well as Senate President Miguel Zubiri, who have backed this initiative all the way that was started during the time of President Duterte and then accomplished. So President Duterte's administration was able to pass the Public Services Act, which opens a number of industries such as shipping, aviation, as well as telecommunications to foreign investment. And that was the onus for Starlink to come in. So going back to the last administration, I was told, yeah, Elon Musk. That's our only problem. How do we get to Elon Musk? So I told the senators and the good senators, and it was led by Grace Poe also, whose committee held the PSA, leave it to me. I think I have enough contacts in Silicon Valley. I can get to the group of Elon Musk. So suffice it to say, with the support of government, I was able to use my connections in Silicon Valley to get to the group of Elon Musk. Obviously, I had to do a large background check by, the guy does send up military satellites. I had to be interviewed by the Musk organization a number of times. But eventually, we understood each other. We understood the mutual benefit of using the Philippines as a first test case. And we agreed. So with that, I helped the group of Elon Musk present. I remember one time I had 57 congressmen together with Starlink when we were doing it. I had presented to half the Senate. And finally, I was very happy that government was very responsive. And this administration intends to seem to take it even further, because there are technologies that are out there that will disrupt your businesses and lives, both for good and for bad. So I was speaking with a fellow Rotarian here about blockchain. Think about databases and what blockchain is going to do to those databases and its use cases. So it's really interesting. So I have a little bit of a presentation about Starlink, and I don't want it to be solely about Starlink. While I did help them, by next year, you will see a new geostationary technology by Artemis, which will be coming into the Philippines, followed after by OneWeb, another startup, who ironically, when the Russians lost capacity on their space launches due to sanctions, SpaceX is now launching their satellites. So SpaceX keeping an arm's length distance when it comes to launches versus Starlink, their own baby. And after that, the Israelis and the Spanish will be launching Beetle. Australia already has close to 180 low Earth orbit satellites from Myrota. So Starlink is not alone, although they are the most expansive. Today, our group of companies is already working with some of the subsidiaries of SpaceX and Starlink and deploying some of their technologies together with that connectivity. So right now, if you look at your screen, this is some of what was presented during the House forum. So I'm not giving anything away that's confidential in nature, as this was actually shown in the Facebook of Senator Grace Poe at the time. It's really revolutionary because your Iridium satellites, the ones that connect your PLDT satellite phones, are what you call geostationary. They're very high Earth orbit, okay? And then it beams down on the coverage of that country. And the biggest issue there is latency. So with that latency and the way the launches were and the cost of those satellites, it was very expensive. Elon Musk, and again, think about this. I don't want to paraphrase him, but if you read his book, whether it's Starlink, SpaceX, the Boring Company, Tesla, what do they have in common? They are all the components of allowing humans to land and live on Mars, right? In Mars, you're gonna build the tunnels for transportation under. There's no internal combustion engine that will work in Mars. Therefore, you've got Tesla, you've got the solar panels, now you have your communication satellite, and you have your transport. So if you really take a step backwards and look at what the Musk Group is doing, the guy is serious. In our lifetime, humans will go to Mars. And at least in my lifetime, I think I'll go to orbit, as well as maybe my kids go to the moon. So it is coming. If you remember your Pan Am Airlines and how expensive flying was, and Cebu Pacific came in, that's the way space is going to interact with us. And there will be some disruptors. Next slide, please. Penny, thanks. So this is, oops, go back one slide. So if you look at it, these are all the micro satellites that are in a launch vehicle. And I had a chance, I was one of the first Filipinos probably to go to their test facility in McGregor, their headquarters. As rich as he is, any employee can use their private jet as long as it's justified. Their CEO, Gwynne Shotwell, who also owns her jets, works in a cubicle. Their whole marketing team just works in cubicles. So it's really a very good startup. Our Philippine Space Agency has also launched 2 or 3 of their own microsatellites. And these are about this big, and they go in orbit, and they're expected to last only 5 to 10 years. So what Elon Musk has done is, if you look at your mesh network in your house, which means it's a broadband router that expands the coverage, that's basically what he's done in space. So the satellites, he's applied for at least 12,000 of them, are turning around, and they hand off the signal when it covers the country. So I think 3,000 to 4,000 are already in orbit. And from the Philippines, all our seas, as well as down all the way to Mindanao, all the lands are already covered by Starlink. Next slide, please. So this one wasn't meant to replace your PLDT, your Converge, and so forth. This is really meant for outside, right? You're a hotel, and there's no connectivity there because your last mile isn't there. This is perfect. After a typhoon, let's say even if you had the last mile there and your telephone pole or your fiber went down, this is also their option. So this is a next-gen type thing that will get you there. Now you'll see that telcos are not enemies of Starlink. So recently, Starlink has signed a deal with, what do you call this? Optus, and one of the largest networks in the United States, to allow cellular to expand their coverage without the cost. So it's not necessarily a competition, but a cooperation between them. I believe there are also continuing discussions with Globe and PLDT, which since they're listed companies, I'm not at liberty to discuss. And Converge. I did have dinner with Dennis Uy, Converge, as well as the SpaceX representatives. Dennis Uy is a great guy, and he knows what he's doing. Same thing with Ernest Koo. Next slide, please. So these are the projects. You'll see that they've done a lot of disaster recovery, whether it's cyclones, hurricanes, and the Philippines, for us, being a natural calamity from volcanic as well as earthquake. Imagine how many Filipino lives it will save, both from a telemedicine basis, which I know one of these mentors of mine, Mr. Colaiko, is rolling out on a startup basis. You will also see that in disasters, and from an education perspective, this is great. Because remember, if you're a government official, how much does it cost to build physical public libraries? And by the time it's built, how old will the books be by the time they're deployed? When today with Coursera, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, and Google, you basically have a lot of those latest publications for Filipinos. And with the Filipinos being an English-speaking country, the knowledge transfer could be immediate. But then it's a double-edged sword. You never know if the Filipinos will just use it to TikTok their way to success. So hopefully it's going to be a balanced thing. Next slide, please. So that was the coverage when we presented to Congress. That deep blue has now been extended all the way down to the Philippines. Next slide. And this is what a gateway looks like. This is not your big NASA, big hectares number of gateways. The gateways actually sit on a flatbed truck, okay? And soon, I think they need about 3 to 9 here in the Philippines. But I believe that when SpaceX launches its laser communications, satellite to satellite, the speeds will increase tremendously by next year. So these are some of the things that you will consider when you do your business planning going forward. Next slide, please. That is a pre-deployment of the SpaceX mini satellites or low Earth orbit. And with that, I hope I've given you a small, quick summary of what SpaceX and Starlink are and how they're deployed. Should you need it, there've already been a lot of YouTube and vloggers on how to set it up in the Philippines. I can only tell you the cost for connectivity in the Philippines will continue to go down. Now, my only hope is that we do the same thing in the power sector and allow nuclear energy and SMRs in. So I'm very pro technology, but we'd like to thank both administrations for bringing this in. So the question is, what's next, right? What's next in space? And when I tell people that DFNN Group is going to get into space, it's like the first time I moved into Fort Bonifacio when it was only me and the Shell gas station. You know, space is a very large sector of components, right? It's not only about transport. So the Philippines actually has a role to play. And we just signed a joint venture with one of the largest or well-known European space companies whose components are on the Mars rover right now, as well as deploying your satellite arrays. They also service Airbus, Thales, and Lockheed. And since I have not disclosed to the PSC, I cannot tell you our current plans, but the Philippines can compete and have a role within the space industry. So the next question is, what happens when you have pervasive connectivity, where your connectivity is a right, almost like having a electricity and water in your house, right? Ask any child now, whether a nephew, niece, granddaughter, grandson, try to take away their connectivity to them. It's like you took away their life. They think differently, even when you look at a customer base from a marketing standpoint. What markets to my mother, what markets to Bing, what markets to Ronnie, what markets to Brian, what markets to Lourdes and Anina are going to be two very different things. And you're going to find the attention span with which you can capture their attention will be much shorter. And there's a lot of risk, just like internet. And you will have a lot of failures as well as a lot of success. But let me tell you about what happens when you have ubiquitous internet. Like when the Philippines was the SMS or text capital of the world, we went ahead of the United States. We went ahead of Europe. And actually, innovation sprung forth from that. So much so that Africa copied the Philippines on their e-banking by using SMS. So with the Philippines at least 6 months to a year ahead of Malaysia, Indonesia, and so forth, the innovation will start here. How do you do blockchain without ubiquitous connectivity? So you won't be able to use it, am I right? But imagine if I tell you today, you are a property owner. There's two things you can benefit. One, you don't need to be in Metro Manila anymore. With Starlink and their enterprise, you can be in Iloilo and lower your cost. Or you can be in the outskirts of General Santos and still lower your cost. If you're in e-learning, you now have the ability to propagate your curriculum online. Medicine, telemedicine will be a growing thing. But you can quote me today, if the Philippines does not address our talent gap, we have $32 billion in BPO industry, because what you see today on ChatGPT is today's generative AI. I have been able to see 3 generations ahead of what generative AI is. All our call centers in the Philippines are about to be wiped out. So if you are supplying them from a tech basis, if you are supplying them with office space, forget POGOs, your BPO industry will be wiped out by AI. So today, prior to here, I had a checkup, and it was a UP doctor, and I couldn't tell you, but they have a concern even in the educational field, because the reports or the test results or the essays are so good, and it doesn't sound like a Filipino, but they said it's when it's actually for the final consultation, it says check again with someone else. But they know that AI is now being used by the students. So this is really going to be a game changer. You add on to that your SAP implementations, your Oracle implementations, and you have access to something like blockchain, you're going to be a dinosaur as well. So if you visit the Google campus today, and the Google campus itself is going to become a dinosaur because they're all moving to Austin, Texas, together with Larry Ellison and Elon Musk. Their biggest thing in the center of their campus is a dinosaur. And their goal is always say, do not be a dinosaur. So my message to the Philippines is, do not be a dinosaur. Now that we have ubiquitous connectivity, now that we have access to the world's knowledge base, even from Silicon Valley, let's deploy it, let's use it. Because these things which I'm talking about, artificial intelligence, blockchain, it will change the way you will do banking. My business partner is John Henry Lulier of the Cebuana Lulier Group. He probably owns one, and I don't know if he wants me talking about it, but since it's a public thing anyway that they've won awards, he probably, in the Guinness Book of World Records, is the largest pawn shop chain in the world. I will not quote the exact number of them. I know he's the largest, okay? But he sees what IT and artificial intelligence will do. So he's being proactive. I think in less than 1 year, his digital bank was able to get 3 million customers. Look at what GCash has been able to do. If you are a pawn shop and you are a bank, and Ernest Koo, who's a really great guy, because I knew him from his SPI days, starts doing banking and insurance, you better watch out. These are things that will affect it. Now, it's not all doom and gloom because this technology is available to everybody, right? So like I said, the next unicorns can come from the Philippines, but I need Eddie Yap and George Barcelona again, because I need them to help change the law on package 4 to allow equity compensation. Because the guys in Silicon Valley, these guys are independently wealthy. They have net worths of over 100, 200, 300, $1 billion, but they're the best in the industry. You cannot get them for Philippine salaries, or even if the most salary, or even a globe salary. The reason Steve Jobs and Elon Musk work for options or equity compensation is because of the structure that's available to them. So I don't know if you know, but Eddie here is a stock market guru. So he knows the NASDAQ. I bet you did not know that 1/3 of the NASDAQ is in reality controlled by Israeli companies. And the reason it's Israeli companies is they use their military technologies and commercialize them. And that is what forms your Waze. That is what formed your microwave. That is what formed your cellular phone. And the next level of technologies that the military uses to chase down terrorists are the next ones the smart companies are going to use to identify their clients and how to sell to them. The Philippines is also a little bit behind the curve. When you speak with Nomura, their tech guy who came from Makati, we are still in a B2C mode where we have a big population. We think that's it. Your investment bankers are not looking at that. They're looking at enablers, the guys who build the picks and shovels, the blockchain guys. It's B2B and B2C that they're now looking at. So these are hopefully the ways that you can see what is next and what is beyond. Leapfrog already the historic successes of the Philippines. We did the BPO industry with Mar Rojas during President Erap Estrada after the I Love You virus, and we had a sweeping e-commerce law. President Arroyo cemented the fact, and while people were laughing at us during the time of President Estrada, how can the Philippines compete with India? Well, guess what? We did, and we did well. So this is an early call to all of the guys. Let's forget Elon Musk. That's a personality issue. SpaceX is launched. It's there. I want the next Elon Musk, the next Sergey Brin to come from the Republic of the Philippines, and we can. So with that, there's a lot on the horizon. There's a lot of pitfalls, but there's also a lot of opportunity in the tech sector. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much for a very exciting and optimistic talk, Ramon. I think we have some time to take some questions. Are you able to take questions? Okay. Anybody who may have questions?
Hi, Raymond. With the significant drop in the price of your hardware, I'm getting to be interested in getting Starlink. But you mentioned a while ago that actually Starlink will not compete with Converge, because I'm a Converge subscriber as well. So I need to get your advice. If I do get Starlink, do I have to let go of Converge, or would they complement each other?
You know what? My kids will tell you I'm a prepper. So, I love Dennis Uy a lot, and I'm putting this on record. When I have a problem with our Converge network, it's one call to Dennis and he gets it done. But being a prepper, I make sure I have my Starlink dish there as well. So if a typhoon disrupts, take it out of the box, put it in. Remember, Starlink doesn't lock you in. It's 2,700 pesos a month. I'm getting thank you photographs from people in Tubataha Reef. I'm getting pictures from people in Puerto Galera advertising the fastest internet in Puerto Galera. And these are areas that are not covered. So I would have both. And the best part is you don't have a lock-in. You have an app. You can stop it. You can continue it. You can stop it. It's up to you. So it's all app controlled. You are in control.
Cloud cover will not be a factor in compromising the signal.
So far, I haven't seen that degradation. Remember, these are low Earth orbit satellites. So it is not directly line of sight. Since it's a mesh, it comes at your satellite dish in all angles. Anytime you want a demo, there are 2 that I have deployed in Manila Gulf. There are some in our office or some in our campus for those who live in West Grove or Alabang. That dish automatically adjusts itself. It's all remote. And the updates are very much like your Tesla car. It comes over the air. Yes, Boss Eddie, my mentor.
Thank you. Most people learn about the importance of this low orbit satellite internet when the Ukraine war broke out. Tama ba?
You're correct. Today, the war on the ground cannot be done without the Starlink satellites in place. In fact, I think from the Philippine perspective, our command and control has improved a lot. And I think I've deployed already about 50 Starlinks, for peaceful purposes.
That was the time that when most of us learned about this utility. But it seems that you were way ahead of the curve, ahead of most of us, because you were deeply in the negotiations to get the local distributorship.
No, I'd like to correct that. I was actually on the Starlink side. I wasn't aiming to get the local distributorship. And again, there is no exclusivity on the reseller. You can all apply if you want to be the reseller. But may I advise you that Starlink, as I have been advised myself, is a startup, and they continue to change their business model that's there. My company, to be very straightforward, we build solutions on top of the connectivity. So the fact that we have Starlink there, I sell the dishes together with my services.
Yeah. That leads me to my question. I am aware of a company called Data Lake.
Yes, that's the group of Almeida and Big Boy.
Yes.
And we like them, support them, and hope they grow.
Yeah, in fact, Data Lake is one of the advertisers in my concert last March at the Polo Club. No? So how are you related to Data Lake? What is the distinction?
Data Lake, again,
the next question, so that I don't have to monopolize the time, is how disruptive would this technology be vis-a-vis the existing internet providers?
Okay. The first one, obviously 2 separate questions. The first one is Data Link. We support them. But there is no partnership between SpaceX as an organization. There is no joint venture. They are a reseller which my group supports. The more resellers, the better it is for us. Remember, I'm not in the telco business. I'm in the software business. So the more resellers SpaceX has, fantastic. Number 2, remember, you can buy Starlink direct from the web now. And it's been doing so. So that should prove a point that there is no exclusivity. But I like Mr. Almeida. I love Big Boy. If there are ways that we can support them with our solutions so they can sell more, if any of you become a reseller, we'd love to tie up with you as well, because we're a believer that the industry needs to be built by people holding hands, not just one big cowboy representing the Philippines. The IT industry doesn't work that way. We work on cooperation, not exclusion. So I think that it leads into your second question. Together with the fact that Starlink has already signed and announced their with their arrangements with T-Mobile, with Optus of Australia, and a few more telcos. And I am aware, because I was there on the initial discussions with Globe and a few other telcos. I was there at the dinner with Dennis Uy. They are very keen to work with everybody. So again, may I reiterate, the Austin and Silicon Valley mentality is very different from the Filipino mentality of getting one person or one group to dominate the market. We don't like that. We like working with each other and supporting each other. Thank you.
There. Okay. Raymond, as a Rotary Club, no, there are a lot of areas that we go to that are definitely in need of connectivity. In fact, one of the projects that we've had that we launched last year is the Clinic in the Cloud of Andrew Prieto, where we provide telemedicine services to the hinterlands of Aklan. So definitely there are a lot of areas that we can go to, yung mga katutubo natin, yung mga people in the provinces that we serve, no, that will be in need of such services. The way I see it, no, this is something that perhaps we can apply for a grant for a community and to provide them connectivity and all these things. Perhaps what I'd like to ask is that since there is a maintenance cost of 2,700 a month, what can it be? Can that be tweaked for communities such that it's just limited in amount so that only a particular portion of their services can be availed of? I'm just looking at what it is that communities can afford moving forward to meet a particular need.
It's kind of it's a difficult thing, right? Because I know for a fact Starlink is trying all business models, right? I had a request from a large conglomerate who's assisting President Marcos. And the feedback I got from Starlink was they are willing to give a discount on the hardware for large deployments that are socio-civic in nature, okay? So I can't really speak for them. Whenever someone asks me a question, I pass it on and I repeat what they say, right? And it's really a friendship thing that I do it. So when they asked me, for example, that they needed help in Malaysia, it was me who gave them the consultant in Malaysia. And as you saw, Malaysia will now launch Starlink as well. He just so happens to sit on my board, my Malaysian director, DFNN Director James Beltran. Now, for Rotary, I think it's a great thing because the same way you guys or us as an organization globally has helped eliminate polio, this allows us a whole leverage of different social-civic activities, including Zonta, that can be done to help. I mean, I'm getting requests from my mother's club for PCs and all of that. Why not connectivity and access to free curriculums? I mean, if you need it, I even have learning management platforms that I can help with the club with, right? So from telemedicine to housing, what do you call it? Habitat for housing. You know, this thing, once you put a router to it, can take up to 100 users. So one group, when you say 2-7 in one barangay, and everybody's like just chipping in, it's not so expensive. And there is nothing that would say they will not lower the prices again. As competition comes up, you've seen that Tesla has actually also lowered their prices. I'm just reading the market and the experience. So these are some of the things like books across the sea. You know, I used to chair that when Pepito, that was actually my fun part of being a director of Rotary. I really believe in educating our people. So the books across the sea, remember, even if we get it access from Macmillan or whoever, that has a timeline. Maybe we can have a digital books across the sea where we give the connectivity. And you might want to find companies that are willing to sponsor the hardware without even a discount from it. I mean, fellow Rotarians, you know, this club has a lot of good fortune in their companies. They might, like a Paul Harris, want to subsidize the cost of the unit, and we can deploy it with the various technologies we have. Today, my group is doing that a lot in the provinces with certain congressmen, certain e-government. We've got facial recognition that can help Rotary clubs around the world. So let us know. And we are taking this, hopefully, wherever Starlink deploys. Our use cases here in the Philippines are also going into those countries. Thank you. A lot of the dishes there came from me in Siargao.
Perhaps we can talk about how maintenance can be managed as a community.
In honor of you and Pepito and Bing, allow me as a personal effort to donate one Starlink unit to your community in
Thank you.
Siargao.
Thank you. Thank you. I will announce that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, Ramon, for the excellent presentation. I think it's a very informative slide deck, and it's quite an amazing milestone indeed. So I just have a question regarding the Starlink. So considering that Starlink utilizes SATCOM services, how would you say they beam the data into the terrestrial level? Do they utilize microwave or millimeter wave technology? And when it does arrive on the terrestrial level, do the data need to be translated into a usable format for us consumers?
Brian, that's a very good and technical question. But they do use the regular bands that are available for satellite. They download into the gateway that I showed you earlier, and they connect to PLDT, Converge, and so forth. And the data is the same as what you see over TCP/IP right now. So for those who are tech, it's really internet protocol that it's going over. As far as transmission goes, it's going over the allowable satellite bands that the Philippines has under its jurisdiction.
That's very interesting. And
Sir, I'd like to also add to that, just so you don't make a mistake, Starlink is not a telco in this country. It was classified as a value-added service provider, which is a similar classification that my company is under, the DFNN Group. We're a value-added service provider.
that is excellent. And do the traditional base stations here, did they need to go through a huge retrofit in order to accommodate this type of data?
Just like what Apple does, or well, no, they send it out to Foxconn. I take that back. The gateway stations that SpaceX uses are proprietary SpaceX. So they handle everything themselves, and they do not retrofit any of the ground stations here. So those things that you see on the bed of the truck with the domes, that's their own proprietary technology.
Amazing. Thank you.
Raymond, thank you for the talk. Very illustrative. And I am now in charge of the BATS project, and we are now.
My man.
Well, so we need to define what to do. We keep going with the books and distribute books all around the islands, or if we can get into a scheme where we can use this connectivity and avoid all the logistical issues that we have when distributing books. I don't know if it's possible to create like a pilot program, a pilot, I don't know, location where we can probably explore the possibility of installing this Starlink and also content that can be linked to that. But I don't know if you can give us a hand on the providing, because I'm sure that you've been working this a lot more than us for sure, on how to provide education to these different provinces without incurring in this province of books, logistics, etc. That is quite expensive.
You know, Rodrigo, I told you it's close to my heart. And since you're a good friend, anything I can do to help the books across the sea. But I would keep accepting as many books as we can. Why? You don't need electricity to run those books. So and it forms a very good base for them. I'm just saying on scalability, this will be there. Now, they do need electricity. You can go on the net, right? The Starlinks can run on a USB power bank. They can run on a solar panel. But at the end of the day, a book really doesn't need electricity. So I suggest we still continue it, and then we augment it with the latest technology. Yes, sir.
Raymond, hello. Good afternoon.
So I got competition.
Yeah. Actually, we have a global project We call that as a B2B global barter supply chain framework. The purpose of this is to oversee all the inventories of the 38 countries as part of this global system. Our counterpart here is Indonesia. And we are looking at now in the Philippines is the agricultural side. We're looking at a $1 billion barter trade with Indonesia. And on the part of us, it would be Virginia Tobacco as well as Burley. And because right now we are not ready so much for that, we will add on the mineral resources like nickel or copper and iron. Now, on the other hand, in Indonesia, they will barter to us with the thermal coal at a cheaper price. Maybe we can reduce the price by almost 30 to 40% than what we are buying now. And on the other hand, also fertilizer, urea fertilizer, because that would also be cheaper by almost 40 to 50%. Now, my problem is, how can I be helped? Because this is a global logistics. The success of this is in the communications as well as in the logistics, which I think Interlink, Starlink from your group maybe can give us an idea or methodology so that we can maximize the deliveries as well as the plantation side, because we have to monitor everything, including the counterpart in Indonesia. And in the long run, maybe we can cope up with the 38 countries worldwide. Thank you.
Sir, that's a project very close to my heart. And I'll give you an example. You know, your biggest processors of minerals or steel or nickel are in Asia. Your biggest users of that product are also in Asia. Your biggest resource holders are also in Asia. Why are we all trading this on the London Metals Exchange? So it's a big point, right? At a high cost. So maybe you can see me privately about this, but there's a gentleman at your table that gives you the regulatory framework under the Philippine Constitution to allow what you want to do. And we have the platforms that does the cross-border together. Talk to Conrad Marty, because the Freeport area of Bataan has actually passed a law that you will be protected under our Constitution globally to do what you want to do, from both the logistics as well as the interconnectivity part. Thank you, sir.
Actually, in the southern part, we are now, we have deal with Misamis Oriental.
I grew up part of my life in Misamis Oriental in Manticao.
Yeah, we have the FIBIDEC because we are coming up with the 50,000 hectares or hectareage of tobacco plantation. And we also signed a barter agreement with the local government so that they will be the one planting. And then with that, we will bring that down to FIBIDEC. In the same way, in Bataan, we're looking at northern Ilocos region, like Ilocos Norte. Initially, the group of Sandro Marcos is dealing with us with the tobacco, with maximizing the tobacco plantation in the Ilocos, which we look at it. Maybe we can load there in Poro Point. Those are things that we have to have a control. If you have the system, then we can adapt that with our global barter trading.
No worries, sir. That's a fantastic project. I'll introduce you to Marco Orera, who heads that department for us in our group. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Raymond, very interesting talk. Thank you.
I hope I didn't bore you.
Not at all, not at all. So we've been talking about very nice things and progressive things. What about the nasty things? It's a big, bad world. We've got little tiny 4,400 machines flying around in low orbit. Are the Russians or any other bad state player able to knock these things out? How do we protect ourselves? Because, you know, you talk about the collaborative, you know, Silicon Valley people who want the internet open to the world, but there are a lot of countries who don't, and there are a lot of people who don't. How do we make sure that that doesn't happen There's nothing that's good.
You really asked a very poignant question, and I don't have good news for you. Okay. I was just a speaker at the Lima Defense Show in Malaysia, which is probably the biggest defense show in Asia every year. I had some panelists there as well. If you dig deeper, there is already a Star Wars today. You have satellites that kill other satellites. You have kinetic weapons that can rain down from the sky. So I don't really have good news for you on that front. Number two, the space junk has been an issue now for over 2 decades, and it is increasing. And every sovereign nation with a capability and resources, unfortunately, has kinetic space weapons at this point. If they don't want people to know, I'm just letting you know it exists. I have no solution for that. The same reason I have no solutions for nuclear weapons, right? But obviously a country like the Philippines, Maldives, or the lesser ones, not much we can do except be aware. The second thing is I would rather the Philippines understand these exist and be part of the space ecosystem early on. So perhaps we can come up with a solution. But I don't think too many people are going to be happy with what I just said. But I'm only repeating something that was said openly in a major defense forum in Southeast Asia. Sir, I've been limited because I talk too much now to have the last questions.
Yes, Raymond, the question I have is, I'd like to know which government agency supervises your operations. Are you under the National Telecommunications Commission or any other government agency?
That's a funny thing, right? So on us, let's see. On some of our software development, we are regulated by PAGCOR. On some of our tech development, we're regulated by NTC. On some of our space development, we're regulated by Philippine Space Agency. So we go across multiple sectors. And again, that's why in this club, you have two preeminent gentlemen in the form of Eddie Yap and George Barcelon. I really need to work with to change our outdated laws. Especially, like I said, one was equity compensation, which the Philippines, hopefully June Lumagi will support us, instead of issue at sale, where the Philippines will collect more revenue when we have a Google of our own, and that's when you tax it rather than when you start up. But the other thing is all our 1935 and adopted constitutions are pretty much outdated when it comes to these new technologies. It will always chase. That's not necessarily a bad thing. My only advice to having seen the technology on the horizon from Austin, Europe, Silicon Valley is let the Philippines be a sandbox. Don't over-regulate it. Allow it so that we use it and understand it, and that's the only time that you adopt your regulation. So that's my only guidance. But right now, many of our laws, the technology will always be ahead of the regulation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for a very interesting discussion, Ramon. We may now hear President Bing for the President's response.
Thank you very much, Raymond. That was an interesting presentation you made, and judging from the number of questions that were raised, clearly there could be a lot of possibilities that our own club could adopt in terms of providing our areas of focus. And DG and Reggie already talked about that angle. I mean, connectivity, just for information, Raymond, we have this Hatch project that is under the Directorate of BOM Villatuya, which actually encourages projects that are all data-driven, where connectivity is a crucial factor. I think it's important for us as a club to see how we could adapt to this new reality of how to provide service. And I would request that we would work with you and your organization to see how we could enhance and maybe make a difference among the different Rotary clubs in being able to have this kind of positioning in terms of how to conduct service.
President Bing, if I make a suggestion, during your administration, and Brian might know this or know people from there. I know we do scholarships or train some younger people from Rotarians and so forth. Maybe, may I suggest that you reach out to people like Foxmont Capital or Manila Angel Network so that you can now foster entrepreneurship within what we are teaching these young people that the Rotary supports, so that we re-gear them from the old mindset of just being employees and so forth, and that maybe we can help them focus on things such as math and sciences so that they can, one, be a benefit to Rotary and to themselves, but later be probably the leaders of the next generation. So even in Rotary, I'm hoping during administration, we can refocus some of our scholarships to re-gearing for the scenario which will be upon us in less than 5 years.
That's a very good suggestion, Raymond, and I'm going to really rely, I guess, on our membership, particularly those who are overseeing such projects. I mean, I'm looking at Baum here, who's really in charge of the Hatch project, to see how we could convert this particular capability that he speaks of. And obviously, education, that's something that is very much an area of support as far as our club is concerned. So right now, of course, as you know, the kind of literacy program that we have been traditionally providing have been more related to, I guess, a bit of financial literacy, a bit of vocational, but nothing really related to this new space of how to engender capability on the part of the youth. And Ms. Goldborn already left, but she had earlier, prior to lunch, she was talking about maybe doing a project with us where she would like to provide scholarship. She was looking at scholarships actually for medical profession, but maybe with your relationship, Ms. Goldborn, maybe you can also redirect part of that towards providing scholarships for those precisely students who are interested. And there's so much from the kind of entries we had during the Hatch project. Well, we had over 100, and so there's a lot of them, and they're all geared towards entrepreneurship. So I think there's a lot of work to do and a lot of ideas that we can really put together. Hopefully we can execute. It's one thing talking about it, but we need to execute, and it can't be done just by a handful. We need, of course, the support of all here concerned. With that, I'd like to thank you, Raymond, again for gracing this afternoon, not as a member, but as a guest speaker.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the time, and thank you so much.
And here we have a bottle for you, Raymond.
For my mom, because she's the one who drinks wine. Mrs. Garcia Abaya, since I do not drink wine, they have given me this nice wine bottle, and I'd like to give this to you and thank you for attending and supporting me again here. Oh, Kodakan daw, ma'am. Forgive me for disassembling your Betamax. Sabi ni Brian, what's a Betamax?
Okay, before we do the picture taking? Okay, fine. According to the district governor, fine. Okay. Meeting adjourned, folks. Now it's time for picture taking.